Hello, today I'm here with Alexandria Edwards, the Manager of Entertainment Relations at the International Rescue Committee located in NYC. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. We're really glad to have you here today.
Happy to be here.
Right, so let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Awesome. My name is Alexandria Edwards. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I'm a 2019 graduate from Berkeley, Valencia, where I studied global entertainment and music business. I am currently the manager of entertainment relations at the International Rescue Committee in New York City.
It's good, that's great. Sounds like a lot of work, but that's great. So, what initially drew you to Berkeley?
So initially, I was drawn to Berkeley because I had just graduated from undergrad where I studied political science, but I knew that I wanted to pursue a career that was more on the business side, but in the music industry. So because I didn't study this in undergrad and I didn't feel like I was sufficiently experienced enough, I tried to do research on master's programs so that I could bridge a gap between where I was and where I wanted to be. After doing research, I tried to do a little investigation on cost efficiency. So I definitely didn't want to go, super into debt since I had no debt from undergrad. I wanted to find programs that were as swift as possible and also programs that offered a little bit of variety from just the generic experience. Berkeley Valencia offered a 1 year master's program that was globally focused and also directly located in Valencia, Spain. So there was literally no question from any other program. So it was the only program that I applied to, and I'm really happy with the decision I made.
It's great. So, how was your overall experience?
My experience at Berkeley Valencia was definitely amazing. I think it's truly a unique and just blessed experience to be, this young 23-year-old living in, beautiful Valencia with the ability to take courses from such well-respected music industry professionals, to have access to so many incredible resources from music industry experts directly on campus with us, and just the ability to have a meeting of the minds with people from so many different places is an invaluable experience and one that I definitely cherish and definitely think about memories that I made in Valencia all the time.
That's great. That's great. So, were there like any notable moments or teachers?
For sure. I think my favorite teacher was probably Alexander Perrin. He was my teacher for my music business finance class and also my data analytics professor. Also, once I graduated and I started at Universal Music Group right after undergrad, he came and visited me. So I very excitedly took him on a tour of like Def Jam and the Young Money Bank Vault and Republic Records. So that was really awesome. But I think those are the true, professors that stand out when the relationship doesn't just end on campus, when the advising and just the mentorship continues. And I'm so grateful that I had the ability to work with him. I also think he has an awesome name, by the way. But as far as really memorable experiences, I think two that stand out are definitely when my friend and I, Matthew Maxwell, who is another master's graduate, were able to create an organization on campus called Unsung Heroes, which was the only organization ever to start the first Black History Conference on the Berkeley Valencia campus. And we were funded, by Berkeley and Boston. Well, we were able to fly out some really incredible music industry professionals. We had Professor Prince Charles Alexander from the Boston campus to come visit Valencia. He served as our keynote speaker, but we also had an incredible Black woman from London that was able to come and talk about music synchronization. And also we had some actual artists to come and participate with us. But it was just such an incredible moment to be able to bring so much Blackness and so much Black history to Valencia, Spain. I think the second notable moment that I had was when Patrice Rushen came and did a week-long workshop with the people on the Berkeley Valencia campus. And we got to watch her play the piano. We got to watch her create a song like from scratch, and she just talked about her experiences as a woman in the music industry. And what a lot of people don't know is like not only is she like a classically trained pianist, producer, vocalist with a successful like music career, but she was also one of the first Black women ever to serve as like a music supervisor for some major award shows, which is just incredible. But she's super inspiring. And then lastly, my favorite moment was definitely meeting Yvette Knowles Shore, who came and stayed for a week. She's the first person to ever receive an honorary master's in global entertainment and music business. And she actually came and spoke to our organization, Unsung Heroes. And she was just so inspiring, so kind, so welcoming. And a piece of advice that she gave was, whenever you walk into a room, you have to bring your entire self. So if that's a Black woman from Detroit, who is super passionate about creating an equitable music industry, that's who you bring into the meetings. Don't try and solely just make yourself like everyone else in the room. You have to take the individual characteristics that you have and use those to your advantage. And also, she was so kind to give us her contact information. And I'm like, you're Beyonce's publicist, and you're willing to, kind of reach, down as you climb up. And it's just really great to know that there are other people that look like me that are trying to create a pathway. So I can only hope to try and recreate the same thing for other young women that come.
Oh, that sounds really, really amazing. And that piece of advice, I'm also going to start taking that. I think that's
Absolutely.
very, very important. So, how did you manage to find your community?
I think that finding my community on the Berkeley Valencia campus at first was easy, because first it was, okay, who are the English speakers? So once we were able to figure out people that also spoke English, then it was creating micro communities with people that had like-mindedness, that had shared values and beliefs, which then really just helped me to figure out, why am I actually here? What is it that I'd like to accomplish? And for me, creating an equitable music industry, especially for Black people, is something that's always kind of at the forefront of my mind. So once I found other people that were, definitely in that mindset, it made it a lot easier. Or, just having people that were from places that were near where you're from. Like, I'm from Detroit, but there were certain people that had family members or people that went to the same college as them that were, in my friend group. So you try to find people that kind of have the same mental compass, right? Where it doesn't have to do with just the exterior being similar, but more the interior. And just, kind of understanding that you're kind of on the same path as this person. And there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go quickly, wait, no, sorry. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So, you kind of want to have these people together with you, because you can definitely go farther with others than you could ever probably go just by yourself.
Yeah, I agree that it's very, very important to surround yourself with like-minded people, especially if you want to succeed. I agree with
Absolutely.
that.
And in the industry that we're in, networking and just the relationships that you maintain with people that are of quality definitely play a huge role in a lot of the opportunities that you get. So always super important just to have, like you said, a really close knit group of people that are, doing some great things, but also are good people.
Hmm. So, do you think that your Berkeley experience helped prepare you for the real world, and how so?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, definitely having an edge as a competitive applicant for the music industry's jobs, I think was invaluable. Like, a lot of the hard skills that I was able to develop through my music business finance class, like having superior usage of Excel, is something that seems minute, but makes all the difference when you're trying to compete. Or having actual familiarity with programs like Tableau. Those software programs are super attractive when you're applying to jobs, especially as we move into such a data-driven world. I also got the opportunity to work on a lot of case studies with the Orchard or with Sony, and that really helped substantially. I also got to do a really great project with Yvette Knowles Shore, where we focused on, things that are required in the publicist side of things. And also finally, having the ability to work on the Artist Accelerator program through the Midem conference. That was incredible, because I actually got to work directly with some well-respected artists and some people that already have a little momentum, but just being able to provide some insight from the courses that I took was really, really helpful. And I know that it's really difficult to get a job at a major record label, but I was fortunate where my first job directly out of grad school was at Universal Music Group, which
Wow.
is the #1 record label in the world. I also think that it was super helpful in being able to prepare me for giving pitches. we had a ton of projects that were under real world constraints, where a lot of times we thought they were being a little difficult. Our professors were being a little too difficult, but they were really just preparing us for what it would be like in the real world in the industry. And I also appreciate that through just our attendance of conferences or through the people that came and spoke to us, they always treated us as though we were their colleagues, like from day one. They never treated us just like we were students or observers, but they helped us to immerse ourselves in the industry by first treating us as though we were already there.
That's great. So, what are some projects that you're currently working on?
So I can't give away too much information, but but I am happy to share that the IRC is doing a partnership with Encanto to expose more people just to understand the migrant practices and just the lives of refugees, specifically in LATAM areas. The film, is by Disney, and though most people might not realize it, it is a bit of a refugee story, and it's beautifully done, has an incredible cast. But we're trying to just provide exposure to understand, what it is to be a refugee, to understand and have empathy for people that might have experienced just family members that were refugees or people that identify as refugees themselves. We also have a really incredible ambassador program, which I have the pleasure of working directly on, where we have some really amazing luminaries that work directly with the IRC to elevate our mission and our goals, and just to try and provide as much exposure so that we can raise as many funds as are required just to support as many of the clients that we serve around the world.
That sounds very, very exciting. Like when you mentioned Encanto, like my jaw like dropped. Like that's wow. But to end it, do you have any advice for current or future students?
Absolutely. So I'd say I have three pieces of advice for current students. I say the first thing is to create a plan with some contingencies, of course, just to understand where it is that you want your career to go. And it doesn't have to necessarily be through a role, but it could be through purposeful statements, like a mission statement of understanding why is it that you are where you are? Why am I spending all of this money, to learn this information, to do what with it? And I think that if you understand where you're going and you have a sense of direction, it's a lot easier to get there rather than if you just hop in the car and you just drive anywhere, you're not really going to get anywhere but in a circle. So I think creating a plan just to understand, like, okay, what are some overall goals that I have for myself? What is the purpose of what I'm doing? Creating a plan. The second thing that I would say, definitely make sure that you equip yourself with all the tools that you need to succeed. So with that, if it requires, reading books that aren't on your course guide but are relevant to your industry, I think that's something you need to do. If it's doing, um, random pitches to people that are in the industry that you'd like to go in, informational interviews, you need to be doing that. I need people to make sure that they're putting in the time that is required just so that they can give themselves an upward edge. Because if you're doing the exact same things as all of your classmates are doing, you need something that helps to separate you in a good way, just
Right,
to
right.
make sure that you know exactly what it is that you like to do, and so that you can kind of become, an expert in a sense, just so that if you have like the work ethic, I think that always separates people from just being talented. Like work ethic will always take you further than just talent alone. um, the last thing that I would say is to definitely make sure that you are grounded, that you find a sense of like balance and peace in what you're doing. So if that's like making sure that your mental health is at its peak level, if that's making sure that, you're getting enough sleep, if that's making sure that, you're eating well, you have to make sure that you are at peace. Because if you're not at peace internally, if you don't feel like you're the best version of yourself, then nothing else that you're doing really matters. Like, you should never sacrifice your wellness in order to achieve any goal, because at the end of the day, the accolades, the certificates, the trophies, and the placards will be meaningless if you're not there to be able to enjoy them. So I think you really need to make sure that you're well, that you're kind to yourself, and that you give yourself grace in the process, because it's really a competitive market. You're not just competing against people in your city anymore, you're competing against the world. but also you have to understand that life is about people and trying to make sure that you do the most good that you can with the time that you have and with what you have. So if you have a talent, if you have a gift, by making sure that you're kind to yourself and you're using that for the betterment of other people, I think it'll always come back to you tenfold.
That's some great advice. I was definitely taking mental notes. So I'd really like to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for Alumni Talk. It really means a lot. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.